Welcome back. The impact of artificial intelligence in African newsrooms is significant. AI is transforming journalism by automating tasks as well as news writing and data analysis, enabling faster production. However, this innovation also raises important questions about job security and, of course, the quality of journalism. To discuss the future of journalism and the influence of AI, we are now joined by the director of the Namibia Media Trust, that is the NMT, Ms. Zoe Titus, to explore this topic further. Zoe, good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Nina, and good evening to all the viewers and listeners.
Well, Zoe, of course, we know that the Future of Journalism conference just ended last week. So perhaps as a starting point, talk to us about, or rather give us an overview of what transpired there, and also talk to us about some of the key topics that were addressed.
It was a really exciting 3 days, and we were particularly excited about the prospect of hosting colleagues from Zimbabwe, Zambia, Lesotho, Eswatini, South Africa, here in Namibia for a 3-day period during which we discussed very, very important topics related to journalism education. Firstly, on the second day, we discussed issues around coalition building and networking to advance issues such as media freedom, freedom of expression, and all those concerns that we have about digital rights and policy making in the digital space. And the third day focused largely on media and information literacy. It was a really, really good gathering. In terms of the issues that we tackled, we launched, by the way, our study on the use of artificial intelligence in newsrooms in Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Namibia. That was a 3-country study, and I hope to be telling you a little more about our findings. We also discussed issues like decolonizing journalism education, which was probably my favorite session. In addition to that, we discussed different platforms that are being used. We talked about TikTok journalism, and I mean colleagues from the NBC were there, and I was also advised that you have just launched your first TikTok news bulletin. So that was an interesting coincidence. So yeah, all these things were discussed, that and a lot more.
Just to another starting point, so perhaps we can touch on those findings that you spoke about. I'd like to know what was, said about the primary benefits of AI in the newsrooms, particularly African newsrooms.
Well, the primary benefits are largely the fact that AI can make news production processes more efficient because it can automate repetitive tasks like transcription, data analysis, and fact-checking, which would, under normal circumstances, have taken up a lot of time of journalists, but now it's freeing up journalists because it can be automated to do better journalism, to do more investigative and in-depth journalism, and just do more creative storytelling. In addition to that, it enables newsrooms, I believe, to produce content faster and provide real-time updates, because people are always, looking for new and updated information. It can also, depending on how you use the technology, you can use that to improve audience engagement by personalizing news experiences for audiences at the more technical aspect. You can use that for your data analytics. And when you do that, it helps journalists uncover trends and insights that under normal circumstances, without this technology, might have gone unnoticed. So we live in a world where we've got so much information, and I mean, that information is effectively data. So it enables and it facilitates data journalism, and makes things just so much easier for journalists to report on. We are going towards elections, and the issue of mis and disinformation is very central and a concern for journalists, media houses covering it. So in terms of the way AI technologies are deployed, you can effectively potentially use that also to combat mis and disinformation, and ultimately support the credibility and trustworthiness of news.
Is the general consensus then, Zoe, that artificial intelligence enhances or improves the overall quality of journalism?
I think we need to be very circumspect and cautious about how we use AI. Yes, AI can help and support and improve the quality of journalism if deployed correctly. But most importantly, there are basic fundamentals that I think must be considered in this context. There should be very, very clear guidelines about how artificial intelligence is used in the newsroom, and there should be optimal transparency and accountability for the use of AI. If AI is used to produce a story, then tell the readers that part of the story was done with deploying AI technology, or AI was used in developing a certain aspect of the story. That transparency and accountability is what fundamentally regains the trust of the readers and viewers.
Zoe, how can we address SADC or non-governmental organizations? How can they address the potential risks that are associated with AI?
Well, Nina, in an ideal world, I think that NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and media houses should be taking a proactive approach to addressing the potential risks that you're referring to, especially when it comes to issues of job security. When we were doing our research, there was a concern by many journalists that the deployment of AI within journalism would effectively take away their jobs and lead to job insecurity. I tend to think, and I will emphasize this fact again, that artificial intelligence does not replace journalism. It doesn't replace journalism. It's a tool that journalists can use to improve and enhance their work. Another proactive method in which NGOs and media houses can use AI or respond to it is through offering training programs on digital literacy. We found in our study that, for example, 3 out of 10 journalists have received training on AI or associated technology. So there's a real need for training and capacity building. Then what I think we should be doing also, and because this is just the kind of world we are living in now, is look at more collaboration. We should have data journalists in the newsroom and other professionals that deal with data to develop the AI tools to improve the news and information delivery. Just a lot more collaboration, and obviously at any given point, proactive and sound ethical decision making that preserves, those core values of human judgment in journalism.
Well, Zoe, we are almost out of time, and I hope you can answer this very, very briefly and talk to us about, how the concerns about AI in journalism in Africa compare to those expressed in, other regions around the world.
Well, one of the reasons why we did the study that we undertook is because African journalists or media houses and journalists from the global south are practically invisible in the global discussions around artificial intelligence and its deployment in news media. We are not at the table when issues around ethical conduct or how data is used and stored, and the impact of AI on, let's say, the sustainability of the media. When those discussions are being had, we are pretty much not in the newsroom or at the table. So that is one way in which we, by uncovering this information, that we can ensure that we know what is happening in our context so that we can be part of those discussions. So, I mean, that I think would probably be the most critical issue. In addition to that, the cost factor. There is a huge cost factor involved in deploying AI, in innovating with AI, and that is, the resources are certainly more available in the global north as opposed to the global south. These are the things that need to be taken into consideration.
Madam Titus, as always, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Daily Roundup.
It's a pleasure, Nina. Great to see you again.
I was Zoe Titus, the director at the Namibia Media Trust, speaking to us there via Zoom. That's all we